Hi, Dr. Mark here for Natural Health. Hope you're having a great day. Been looking forward to this one for a while myself. It's interesting. Well, this month, I should say, we're talking about the top health-related mortality issues in this country. And tonight we're talking about idiopathic treatment or accidental injuries, whatever you'll see when we get to the little thing here. Accidental causes, I guess. So, as a background, of course, Dr. Mark here, Natural Health. Been in practice now for 40 years as a chiropractor and nutritionist, and that means in this office we know how to make things work without medications. How to get the body actually healthy, work on underlying causes. So we'll talk about that a little bit more as we get through this. The idiopathic treatment looks at medical problems. Overprescription medication, the wrong medication, the side effects of medication, those kind of things. So that's what the third leading cause of death is. Now, when we get to the little chart here, I might as well go through it now. You can see that the top leading one is diseases of the heart. We talked about that earlier. Cancer is right up there, and then accidents are unintentional injuries. That's what we're talking about here. Now, the problem with the system is that it's a dangerous system. That's what's great about natural health is if we make a mistake, so what? It's still good food. It may not help the person as quickly, but it's not going to cause them any problems. But in the mainstream medicine field, they have a lot of dangerous treatments there. So again, some of them may be necessary, don't get me wrong, but there's still that chance there. So I'm going to read through some basic story article and some highlights of an article that was written that I ran across. So just so you kind of get an idea of what we're talking about here. So in 2013, Americans spent more on health care than Japan, Germany, France, China, the UK, Italy, Canada, Brazil, Spain, and Australia combined. At the time, the U.S. market, U.S. ranked last in terms of quality of care among industrialized nations. Little has changed since then. If anything, conventional medicine has only gotten more dangerous over time. Now, this article does not take into consideration the COVID debacle and all the problems with the jab. So we're just looking at old information before that. And if you take that and you take this new information, especially the things that are coming about myocarditis and all these other problems coming on, it's going to be a lot worse than what I'm going to report here. But this at least gives you an idea of what's going on. In 2021, the Commonwealth Fund's International Healthcare Performance Report ranked the U.S. dead last out of 11 industrial nations yet again, despite spending more of its GDP, 18% as of 2019, on health care than any other nation. In 2013 review of U.S. health care expenses revealed that 30 cents of every dollar spent on medical care was being wasted on unnecessary services, inefficient delivery of care, excess administrative costs, overinflated prices, prevention failures, and fraud. A follow-up investigation in 2019 found the annual waste of healthcare funds had risen anywhere from $10 billion to $185 billion since 2013, and now accounts for 1/4 of all healthcare spending. In 1998, researchers concluded that properly prescribed and correctly taken pharmaceutical drugs were the fourth leading cause of death in the U.S. Since then, several investigations have concluded conventional medicine in general and medical errors in particular are among the top leading causes of death in the U.S. In 2016, Johns Hopkins patient safety experts calculated that more than 250,000 patients died each year from medical errors, making it the third leading cause of death. So, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's what the status is right now. And again, not that medical people are trying to make mistakes on purpose, it just happens. And because the things you're prescribing are so dangerous, or can be so dangerous to certain people. The proof is in the pudding that this is what happens. It's not that anybody's trying particularly to do this, which can be debated in certain circles, but for right now, it's just how the mistakes are made, and it just happens. And so if you happen to be one of the unlucky few in that 250,000 every year, well, it doesn't work out very good for you, even if your insurance pays for it. What good is that? So that's what I look at here and talk to our patients here at Natural Health. Yes, insurance may not cover some of the things we do, but there's no downside to what we do. Like I said, even if we make a mistake, it's still going to work. It's just not going to work as fast. We're very efficient in what we do here, not only on the chiropractic side, getting people well with the nervous system, but also on the dietary, nutritional side, finding out exactly what that patient needs to be well, and doing it efficiently, cost effective. And the good thing is too that since insurance doesn't pay for it, people actually want to do it. It's not like we're just going to do it because, well, the insurance is paying for it, might as well do it. No, people actually want to get well when they come in here. So we have a great bunch of patients that come in. We have a wall of success with I don't know how many hundreds of pictures there now on all the people that we've had so much good results with. And, it's a very positive office here. So another thing that I was watching today, I thought I'd point out, if you don't want to take my word for it, which is fine, because it's good for everybody to look at things themselves, make an informed decision about your health care. But that's the key. Make sure you're informed. Don't just let things happen and all of a sudden you got problems. So a really good place that I go for information is at thehighwire.com. It's TheHighwire.com. And just so it happens that the one they had on, they do their broadcast every Thursday. The one this year was as number 286, episode 286. And they have Paul Mayer, I think that's his name, Dr. Paul Mayer, I think that's his name, on there. And anyway, he was a 30-year emergency care physician, one of the most documented physicians in the country. And he's tried to get he had a prescription for vitamin C, B vitamins, and some things to help with this. Sepsis is what he was talking about, kind of working with the COVID thing. And he ended up getting fired for it and having all kind of issues there. And it's a really interesting story. But he's talking about all the corruption. Now, as a chiropractor, we've known this stuff forever. I mean, it's not really news to us. That's basically why a lot of us got into chiropractic. We didn't want to be involved with the medical system. And again, don't get me wrong, medical people do a lot of good, especially on any kind of injury cases, emergency room things. Excellent care. Again, we're one of the best in the world on that part, but it's when you get big pharma involved and big money involved, that's when it becomes an issue. And that's all the other, health care or basically it's disease management, but healthcare issues, we don't score very well, even as we have compared to anybody else in the international community. So I really think if you have time, and it's a great place to get information at thehighwire.com. Dale Victory is a very interesting person where he's got quite a background, but he really tries to find both sides of the story. If they're both sides, but basically the truth, whatever the truth is what he's looking for there. And it's done in a very good way. You can sign up to be on his email list, and then you can watch the things for free. He does ask for contributions, but it's important, and you'll see why if you watch it. Now, we also have our website where we have a free blog we send out every week, and you can go on our website and sign up for that, just one per week. And it's like the Highwire, just one per week. Not this every day, three times a day email stuff. It's going to get one thing. So a lot of the times we talk about important news that we see on our blogs, or just explain things how we do in the office and why that's important. So pretty good information there. But I thought it was interesting to bring to this tonight because people don't even think that this unintentional injuries, they don't even realize what that means. They think that means you fell off the sidewalk and got a concussion and died. That's not what that means. It means medical errors. And that's the third leading cause of death in this country. Now, if you want to get into our opinion on the top two, that could also be a problem with medical errors because diseases of the heart and cancer really in our world look at problems in digestion, problems in getting the right foods, problems in the environment, which if the medical people were on top of things, that would be very well known about, but it's not well known. So that's what we teach here at Natural Health. And again, the insurance doesn't cover it, it's not all exciting, but it's how the body works. And that's what we deal with here at Natural Health. What does it take to be healthy? How do you get the body actually healthy? And that's what we do, is figure out what that body needs, because every body is different. Now, the medics are good about talking about genetics and how, well, did your dad have, heart issues, or your grandpa had heart issues? Well, and that's a good thing to know, because that lets you know what your trend is there. But there's ways of reversing that if you know how to work digestion, if you know how, in other words, we're wanting to absorb good nutrition so the body can heal itself. And then we're also wanting to change the diets so you're not eating hand grenades in the diet, like white sugar and bad oils, probably the biggest two there are that cause trouble with people. And if you deplete the immune system, you're going to have the C word. If you screw up the cardiovascular system with those kind of things, you're going to have the top one. So, I mean, your genetic things kind of lends a preponderance towards that, but there's ways of helping to avoid that too. And again, that's what we do at Natural Health, is try to figure that out for people in the individual patterns, individual form. So hopefully that's not too disturbing, but it's important. I really would, if you can, I really try to point out that thehigherwire.com and go to that episode 286, because he goes to a lot more information. It's not just from me. It's from a lot of other doctors. And there's lawyers on this one. There's going to be quite a few lawsuits, I think, with this COVID thing, with the jabs and everything else. A lot of information coming out about that. So hopefully we can look at this in a positive way and fix the system, get the body better, so that we're not dead last in the industrialized nations, but number one where we should be in this country, because we spend enough money for it. So that's probably enough stirring the pot for me. Hopefully you got some good information from that. Again, don't forget to go to our website. And we also have free consultations here at the office too, if you're not really sure what we do. So, and how we can help. I can explain that to patients or people. So we're here to help with that. So without any further ado, I think I'll turn it over to Dr. Chip and let him tell you some more good information about the idiopathic causes of mortality. And have a great week, and we'll see you next week.
All right, awesome. Okay. So the idiopathic treatments or illness there, we're going to keep going. I'm Dr. Chip, by the way. And again, this is kind of part of our month on top health-related deaths in the U.S. And so again, just kind of going back to that too, is that, like Dr. Mark explained, is that the U.S., again, one of the greatest, I would say an awesome nation that we have, but again, it's lacking in the health aspect. Again, in the medical field, we have some of the best emergency care we can have, and again, that's very important. But when it comes to these different diseases, we tend to think that that's kind of more of the chronic here. It's kind of the chronic illness. So they're not emergencies; they actually tend to come over time, and so that's again usually due to something that we're not giving attention to the body. Now, when we get to these illnesses there, we kind of talk about the idiopathic. Now, idiopathic really means is that they don't really know what the cause is. And so when we think about it, there's two ways of seeing it. There's always two ways of seeing things. And so a lot of times is that when we are trying to, again, in an emergency situation, that is a very good thing to do when we want to know what is the problem or the bug or the issue there too, because at that state the body cannot adapt or handle that stress load that's happening done to it. And so again, that's kind of that emergency situation. And again, you would say kind of argue a little bit too about if those are all actual emergency situations. But again, it's always good to have that care available. But with the two sides of the coin there too, is that one side is that we actually fight, we actually try to get rid of the illness or the issue or the problem or the bug or the virus or whatever. But the other way to see it is we're trying to gain back our health. Again, the body is this amazing organism, amazing machine, for lack of better words. But it's able to actually carry out a lot of these awesome healing functions. And so again, just with the immune system, just with any of the systems of the body here, you can see is that a lot of these different illnesses or issues here are more related to those, you would say, the systems of the body not functioning properly. And so when that happens, of course, then the body gets to that point where it's not able to adapt, and then obviously you get to a fatality or a death there. And so really going back to it is that, okay, well, how do we prevent this? What do we do about it? And so a lot of times is that we really need to actually take a look, you would say, at ourselves and see what are the things that we're either limiting or blocking, or better understanding there too is that sometimes we think that these things are inevitable. They're going to be happening. They should, it's just kind of part of life. That we're destined for one of these issues, that something's going to happen. But really, to get back to it, is that it comes down to a lack of understanding, I would say. Is that in the U.S. is the one that tops with all these different illnesses and issues. But like Dr. Mark explained, there's a lot of countries that don't have all these problems that are so much. Again, there's probably here and there some things that you can't, some things that you can't do much about. And there'll always be that bell curve of those people that maybe didn't get the right help, or didn't have the information, or had the lack of understanding. But with the current day and age, with the internet, with the information out there, maybe it's not even due to being able to get that information for health, but more of it's too much information. It's almost like we don't know what to look for. We don't know how to go. And so really when it comes down to it, it appears more that it's a lack of understanding how the body works and how our health is actually affected. And so going back here to chronic illness, or many different health-related issues, we kind of go back to the stresses that can actually affect the body. And so you can go ahead and you can talk about the chemicals or the toxins that can be in various aspects of our environment, such as water, food, air, anything like that. Traumas, again, that's kind of more of physical, well-being, so kind of rest and day, or it's more of working out or working too much, or not actually moving our bodies. And then negative thoughts and emotions. And again, that's a big one there too, because they all play an important factor. And so when we're able to have a good mindset, we're moving our bodies well, we're eating good foods, that's what plays into a really good important part of regaining our health, rather than, again, getting rid of the sickness. So again, when you replace I with we, you get wellness, not illness. And so when we are able to work together, when we're able to share our knowledge, share our understanding of how health is actually helps the body, or how we can actually get back to our health, then we know how, again, to live a better life there too. And so again, it requires balance, of course. We can't get so much into the health where we're doing let's say doing the right things all the time, 24/7. We're getting too, narrow-minded there. That's going back to that mental emotionals, where again, it's okay to, go, back and forth with enjoying different things here and there. But really, you're able to enjoy more when you are really good and healthy. And the main thing is being able to adapt to whatever you're doing, or your environment there too. And so again, we talked about the nutritional, we talked about good foods, again, good whole foods. And a lot of times too is that we tend to forget what that is doing for us. We tend to forget that the foods, again, are replenishing our body, and we're able to use those to actually heal and do well. The physical part here, of course, too, is we want to be able to move our bodies well. We want to be able to have good rest and recover, good sleep, but then also recreation, playing. We're able to do things that we like to do, fun things here and there. So again, that goes back to that's physical here. And then mental and emotional, again, always good to get back in nature. A lot of times if we get disconnected so much, we're on concrete, we'd say we're in our houses, and then when we get out of our houses, we're in our cars, and then we're getting in our cars, we're at the office, and when we're at the office, we get back in our cars, and we forget that we can actually enjoy a lot too, or get outside, get some fresh air, get some sunshine, get back in nature. That's always helpful. Another thing too is, I would say reading. Reading is always important there too. When we gain more information, gain new knowledge, again, when we're actually able to understand where health comes from, that is actually helping us to navigate the world better, and that we're able to help ourselves in return there too. And then the journaling, again, these are just 3 ways of doing something, but journaling is helpful there too. If you have a lot of thoughts going on, you can write them down on paper. You don't feel like you have to keep storing them in your head there. Or, if you have something that you just want to get off your chest, you just write it down, and sometimes that can be helpful there too. So again, there's always, good ways to go about that. And so again, a balanced brain and body is always helpful. Here we work with nutrition and chiropractic. So that's kind of our way of helping people, our understanding there too. And so again, of course, when our brain and body are well balanced, then we're able to achieve or sustain health. And so again, like we said, is that there's 2 different ways of seeing it, and that we need the emergency care. We need those in certain situations, but we can't use that emergency care for health. That's only in extreme times of sickness or accident or injuries. And so, again, getting back to the health point, we want to make sure that we're able to know what the difference is. And so, like we said, is that the idiopathic, it just means is that they didn't understand, they actually didn't know what was going on. They didn't know the cause of the issue. And so that tends to lead to kind of the wrong diagnosis. That tends to happen, or tends to have more medications that weren't really needed at the time. But really, they're fighting the wrong thing. They're actually, what they're doing is they're focused on the problem rather than seeking the solution. And so we want to make sure, again, as we get back to getting good health, we're actually able to understand how that works. And then, again, when we help ourselves a lot, we can actually help the whole, our country here and the world turn back to health being more common than sickness. So, and an analogy there too I like to share is that when there is a dark room, you're not going to figure out why it's so dark in the room. You're not trying to fight the darkness. You can flip on the switch and there's light. Because where there's light, there will be less dark. So again, it's always good to come back to the light there. And then again, that's kind of more that sickness and the health there. So again, you can always, again, thank you so much for watching here. You can always follow us at Natural Health Quincy IL at Facebook, YouTube, writing on Instagram. You can subscribe to our email list at naturalhealthquincy.com. We're located at 2000 Jefferson Street in Quincy, Illinois, and the number is 217-228-2040. So again, guys, thank you so much for watching. We just want to make sure that we're at least bringing awareness to what's going on. Sometimes we just don't know. We're not really informed. But again, when people have gone through it more and more, again, or at least get a different perspective of things, you can see is that, you can see a clearer picture. You know that there's something else going on, and that when that stuff is happening so much so that there needs to be this turning point, there needs to be this switch that we go from, again, that sickness to the health. So again, thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of the week. And that, I think, does it for this month. So we'll continue the next month with a new topic. Stay tuned. Thank you.